We begin the news at this hour in West Africa, where Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu says the national defense and internal security, local job creation, macroeconomic stability, investment environment optimization, human capital development, poverty reduction, and also social security are some of the top priorities of the 2024 budget of renewed hope. Addressing a joint session of the National Assembly on the 2024 federal budget proposal on Wednesday in Abuja, the president said the nation's internal security architecture will be overhauled to enhance law enforcement capabilities with a view to safeguarding lives, property, and investments across the nation.
A stable macroeconomic environment is important to catalyze private investment and accelerate economic growth. We have and shall continue to implement business and investment-friendly measures to sustainable growth. We expect the economy to grow by a minimum of 3.76%, above the forecasted world average. Inflation is expected to moderate to 21.4% in 2024. In preparing the 2024 budget, our primary objective has been to sustain our robust foundation for sustainable economic development. A critical focus of this budget and the medium-term expenditure framework is Nigeria's commitment to greener future. The revised 2024 to 2026 medium-term expenditure framework, MTEF, and fiscal strategy, FSP, set out the parameters for the 2024 budget after a careful review of development in the world oil market and domestic conditions. We have adopted a conservative oil price benchmark of $77.96 per barrel and daily oil production estimate of 1.78 million barrels per day. We have also adopted a Naira to US dollar exchange rate of 7.50 per US dollar for 2024. Accordingly, an aggregate expenditure of 27.5 trillion naira is proposed for the federal government in 2024, of which the non-debt recurrent expenditure is 9.92 trillion naira, while debt service is projected downward to be 8.25 trillion naira, and capital expenditure is 8.7 trillion.
The Nigerian president said the proposed budget prioritizes human capital development with particular attention given to children because human capital remains the most critical resource for national development. Speaking on the economy, President Tinubu said a stable macroeconomic environment is crucial in his administration's bid to catalyze private investment and accelerate economic growth. Hence, his government shall continue to implement business and investment-friendly measures for sustainable growth. Now, the president also says efforts will be made to further contain financial leakages through the effective implementation of key public financial management reforms. And of course, to discuss this, we are joined right now on the news by Jide, a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for your time, Jide.
It's my pleasure. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Now, in President Tinubu's proposed 2024 budget, what specific strategies or allocations are outlined to address Nigeria's internal security concerns and overhaul the nation's security architecture, particularly regarding law enforcement capabilities and the protection of lives, properties, and also investment?
Well, as you have said in that curtain raiser or in that excerpt, the president has given top priority to defense and security. And this is not unusual because over the decades, you know that even successive administration have always budgeted huge quantum of resources for defense and security, and it's just apt to do so because every other thing is associated to having security. Whether you will talk about food security or security of health institutions or financial institutions or, of even education institutions. Security is cross-cutting issue in all ministries. Even tourism depends on security to thrive. If you do not have a secure environment, I'm not sure any tourist who want to live in this our country to come do sightseeing in your own climate. And even in terms of investment, whether you want to bring in encourage local investors or you want to bring in foreign direct investment, the security also is one of those things that will be looked at by foreign investors. So it is just fit and proper that the president, like his predecessors, as I said earlier, have prioritized, having the highest chunk of the 2024 budget voted for, security of the country.
Now, let's talk about the fact that the president intends to also prioritize human capital development in the 2024 budget, particularly with concerns to children. What initiatives or programs are proposed to actually enhance this critical resource for national development?
Well, as you also said, the president has figured out that child care, children has to be also take primacy of attention because today's today's youth are tomorrow's future. And so human capital development has also been given prime attention. But in doing that, I believe the president also spoke to the issue of education, where he said he will give priority attention to education and make issue of industrial action history. He talked about the student loans, which he said will be taken off by January of 2024. This is long overdue, considering the fact that many schools are increasing tuition, even federal institutions, state institutions, even when they said they are not increasing tuition, they are increasing ancillary costs like hostel accommodation cost, even ID card, medical, cost of Medicare and all of that. So what the president has said is, human capital development will also be given prime attention. And like I explained, this comes through our educational system. The situation is so that just early this week, the Academic Staff Union of Universities was talking about the JAPA syndrome and how it had affected our academic institutions. And this is quite worrisome that many of our lecturers, many of our teachers are either leaving schools or education sector to other sectors where they will harm more because of the very poor remuneration and very unhealthy work environment, the toxic work environment in which they practice. So it's important that, and I applaud the president for taking initiative to increase the human capital development.
Now, the president also emphasized the importance of a stable macroeconomic, I call it, environment for stimulating private investment and also economic growth in the country. Now, what specific businesses or investment-friendly measures does the administration actually plan to implement to achieve this sustainable growth as outlined in the proposed budget?
President has always spoken about the ease of doing business. Ease of doing business and public-private partnership, PPP, has always been very dear to the president's heart. And he has initiated that in his 2024 budget that most of the funding for critical projects will be sourced from the private sector, and a number of initiatives that will border on, private-public partnership will be encouraged. Aside from that, he has also promised that he will allow investors to take out their money anytime they want to take out their revenue or their investments, so that they don't have their investment trapped. So these are some of the measures that he has initiated to encourage public-private partnership in businesses.
All right, Jide, just in 60 seconds before I, of course, allow you go. As a public affairs analyst, what do you make of the entire presentation by the president today?
Well, some of those assumptions, I think, are on point, and some are very much, very unrealistic. He promised that he will bring inflation down to about 24.5%. I don't know how he intends to do that, given a lack of sufficient productivity. He also, I agree with him on the number of crude oil production, that is about 1.8 million barrels per day. That is quite realistic, because unlike the 2.3 million that were being budgeted for under Buhari administration, this is more realistic. But when you look at the exchange rate of 750 naira to $1, I also hope that that is not too optimistic, that we will have an official exchange rate of 750 naira to $1. But on the whole, these are just estimates. What I would expect is that National Assembly should do a thorough work, even though the president has given them more or less a marching order that he wants the budget back before the end of December, because he wants the budget to start from 1st of January 2024. Under Buhari administration, usually the budget is presented around September, October. So there is about 2-3 months through which the National Assembly works. But now the president has given President Tinubu has put the National Assembly on overdrive to do all they could to pass this budget between now. Today is 29th. He wants the budget back before the end of December, because he wants the commencement date to be January 1, 2024. That means that there may be no Christmas break for the National Assembly. And I do hope that they will have the full cooperation of the leadership of the ministries, departments, and agencies when they come for their budget defense.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Jide Ojo, Public Affairs Analyst.
It's my pleasure. Do stay safe and stay blessed. Take care.